Okay, folks, so we're back here. This is recording for chapter 1-2, and this is recording number 1. All right, so where we left off was this business here about the class boundaries, and I'm sorry that they have the error, but what can I do? All right, so I hopefully I explained the error to you. All right, so now, in addition to being classified as qualitative or quantitative, you have these variables. They can be classified by how they are categorized, how they're counted, how they're measured, and so forth. Okay, so if you have a if you have a variable that can be put into a category, as an example, rural, suburban, urban, okay, well, that's something that can be put into a category. Can it be ranked? Can you talk about first place, second place, etc.? Well, do you see the distinction there? If something is rural, suburban, or urban, you can't rank them. You don't say that one is better than the other, okay? Another way of looking at the values is, are they uh, obtained by a measurement such as height, IQs, temperature, that sort of thing. Okay, so this type of a classification, how the variables are organized or how they're categorized, how they're measured, we use measurement scales is the terminology that this author is using. So for the common types of scales are called nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Okay, so it's a little bit tedious. We're not going to use this a whole lot, but I do think it's important for you to have some idea of what the heck we're even talking about, okay? All right, so now we're talking about the first level of measurement is called the nominal level of measurement, okay? Let's just look at the definition. It classifies the data, whatever it is that you're talking about, it classifies it into mutually exclusive categories. So the mathematical term, what we would say in mathematics is we'd say they are disjoint. Okay, disjoint, disjoint. So if something is disjoint, that means that they are exclusive. They don't overlap each other. Okay, so nominal level, you classify it into these disjoint categories, but there's no order, there's no ranking. So for example, if you said, well, your suburban or your urban city, well, there's no ranking there, right? Okay, let's see here. Example he gives here is college instructors according to the subject that is being taught. Now, let me just throw this on the table too. Do you know what this EG means? Do you know what that means? There's two common abbreviations that are used. EG, as E dot period G period. EG and IE. They're not the same, okay? EG stands for example. IE stands for that is. It's from the Latin, okay? EG is exempli gratia, I believe, and IE is id est. All right, so EG means for example, and you know what for example means. IE is where you're saying that is, okay? So I'll come up with an example later on of this, but IE means that is specifically. Like for example, let me think of a good example. Give me 1 second here. Geez, I'm having a hard time coming up with a good example. Let me use one from the legal business. If I were to say something like, uh, sorry, sir, but you're not going to get as much credit for time served as you would normally, i.e., you're going to get 15%. Okay, i.e. means that is. I'm being very specific. On the other hand, if I were to say, hey, listen, there's different kinds of credit that you get when you get sentenced, e.g., that means for example. So I'd say, you know, there's different types of credit, e.g., you can get 50% credit, you can get 80% credit, you can get 20% credit, whatever it happens to be. That's an example. Okay. All right. I hope I made that clear. Oh, here we go. Here's EG right here. Oh, for heaven's sakes. All right. So here's IE and EG using the text. The values obtained from measurements such as heights, IQ, or temperature. This type of classification, IE, in other words, that is, I'm being specific here, how variables are categorized. All right. and then I'll let you read that. Here it's e.g., a sample of instructors classified according to the subject that they taught, e.g., for example. I'm not being specific, I'm just giving you examples. There's more than just English, history, psychology, and mathematics, right? There's physics, there's economics, there's urban studies, there's whatever. Okay, so these are just examples. All right. So when you have these college instructors classified according to the subject taught, it's nominal level because they're disjoint. You're either teaching English or you're teaching history, but there's no ranking. You can't say that English is better than history or better than psychology or mathematics is better than psychology or whatever. There's no ranking involved. Okay, so if you can talk about male or female, okay, that's another example of nominal level measurement. There's no ranking. You don't say that women are better than men or men are better than women or whatever, okay? Zip codes, example of nominal level. One of them is not better than the other. So it's not the presence or absence of numbers. Zip code is numbers, right? But it's the fact that you cannot rank them. That's what makes it into a nominal level. Okay, they're disjoint, but there's no ranking. Okay, so the next level, ordinal level, come down here, it is classified into categories that can be ranked. I think implicitly these are all disjoint as well, I think. But the important thing here is that they can be ranked. They can be ranked. However, there's no precise differences between the ranks. Okay, so here we go. You go on to rate my professor. You go to Mark Cantrell and you give me stars, right? You give me a 5-star, a 4-star, or whatever. Okay, superior, average, or poor. But there's no distinct, precise difference between the ranks. What's the difference between a 5-star and a 4-star? Well, I don't know. I mean, that's is your opinion, right? So there's no precise measurement of differences. Okay, so that would be an example of ordinal data. Third classification, interval level. Well, it ranks the data, and so there is a difference between a 5-star and a 4-star, but there's a precise difference between the units of measurements, okay? So IQ tests, there's a difference between an IQ of 115 and 110. They can be ranked, okay? And there's precise differences between IQ of 110 and 115, okay? However, there is no meaningful zero. So IQ tests, they don't measure a zero, all right? So that's the difference, or that's the important fact, I guess I would say. So there's no true zero. Okay, the final level, we call it the ratio level. Okay, so as you can see, we're getting more and more precision here, I guess, as you go along here. The ratio level possesses all the characteristics of the interval measurements. There is a difference between them. There is a ranking. There is some sort of a numerical value floating around in there. See, like right here, it can be ranked. Okay, precise differences between the units are there, but there is a true zero in the ratio level. Okay, so there is a true ratio, and there can be a zero. Okay. All right. So as he says right here, there's not a complete agreement. This is just what this author is saying. I'm not sure it's the most important thing in the book, but it's something you should be aware of. So I'm going to let you look at this. I think it's very clear. If you just it will be clear if you do these examples. Look through these and kind of make sure you understand the rationale behind them. Make sure you understand what's going on here. Now there's a word for you, rationale. Rationale. R-A-T-I-O-N-A-L-E. People get that mixed up with rational. Okay. When you say something is being rational, you're saying, "Oh my gosh, my mom and dad, they're not rational. They're not making sense." Or or you say, "My instructor, my statistics instructor, is a nutcase. He's not rational at all." Rational means you make sense. Okay. Rationale, when you put an e at the end, that's a noun, whereas rational means it's an adjective. Rationale is, what is your explanation? What is your rationale for this particular decision? Why did you make this decision? Give me your reasoning behind it. That's called a rationale. And as I say, it's spelled differently. For rationale, there's an E at the end. Okay, so I'm going to let you look through these here. I think they're pretty straightforward here, okay? All right? So take a look at these, and then here's applying the concepts. These applying the concepts are in each of the chapters. I'm not assigning them. They're in each of the sections. I'm not assigning them. However, I just urge you, to the extent that you can, It's all for your benefit. Now, I totally am aware that you don't have infinite amount of time. A lot of you have jobs, a lot of you have kids, but if you can, I think it's worth spending the time on these. Okay, so that's the end of section 1-2. Now we're talking about exercises. And again, I'm not assigning the exercises, but it's certainly worth your while to take a look at them. If nothing else, the exercises will give you examples. And if you find an example that you like, that you think, hey, that really makes sense to me, that's important. It's good to have an example that makes sense to you. And what makes sense to you may not be the same as what makes sense to me. So it's very important for you to find your own examples that you think are worthwhile. Okay, that takes care of, that's the end of section 1-2.